When people talk about meta storytelling, whether that be in video games or other medium, usually they only talk about one thing: fourth wall breaks. And that's understandable, because seeing a character break the known rules of fiction that talk to you as the audience is awesome. But it also only scratches the surface of what's possible, especially in video games. Because when I think about meta-narratives, I think about them through the lens of a story that is aware of its own fictionality. Whether that be a character acknowledging that it's in a game, the fake operating system before you launch Superhot, or even Inscription, changing the genre of its game midway through. In this video, I want to look at 3 types of meta-narratives, getting increasingly more unhinged in their ways. To start, I want to talk about one of the most well-known examples of fourth wall breaks, the game Doki Doki Literature Club. A seemingly cutesy dating simulator, which displays a warning for children or the easily disturbed when you start the game. In a quick rundown, spoiler and content warning for things on screen, the game starts out with our main character joining his school's literature club, where 4 incredibly cute girls await him. The game centers around the meetings of this club, in between which you can write poems for the club member you like the most and get some extra scenes with them. This goes awry when one member of the club, Monika, starts breaking the fourth wall in small ways, like telling you to save before difficult decisions, or noticing that a pun wouldn't work when translated to English. These small moments keep you on your toes, until the story progresses with Sayori, one of the other characters, confesses she's both in love with you and depressed, and no matter what response you choose, the next morning, you'll find her dead in her room. The game crashes and tells you to check the logs, where you can find a message left by Monika. This would probably be a lot easier if I just deleted her. And sure enough, if you restart the game, Sayori is gone. The second act of this game is much less subtle in how Monika breaks the fourth wall, escalating into her appearing in front of text boxes, manipulating your mouse cursor, and even deleting both other characters, leaving only you, her, and the classroom. And when I say you, I mean you, as Monika starts addressing you by the name on your Windows account, telling you that she knows it's a game and that she's in love with you as the player, so you are the only real thing in this world. You continue the conversation, the only thing you can do at this point, until she mentions how easy it was to delete the other characters. All she had to do was find the folder in which the game is located and delete the files. Doki Doki's meta-narrative is what creates the entire story. Monika's self-awareness is what defines the game and what creates its horror. To explain how the game does this, look at these 2 circles. The outer circle is what represents reality, anything that exists in the real world, including you. The smaller circle here is the world of Doki Doki, or any piece of fiction for that matter. As humans, we like to lie to ourselves and, at least for a little bit, immerse ourselves into these worlds, forgetting about reality. When immersed, the fiction becomes a replacement for reality. We don't get scared because of the pixels on our screen, we get scared by a monster chasing us through the halls. This process is voluntary, but it can be made easier through good world building, realistic characters, and overall, if the fictional world feels real. Following this logic, if good world building helps us immerse ourselves, it can be made more difficult to immerse yourself with anything that makes the world feel fake. Say, a game telling you it's just a game and breaking the fourth wall. This is something Doki Doki takes advantage of. Throughout the first 2 acts, the fourth wall breaks are mostly used to unsettle you. Monika's control over the games being creepy, but not affecting you. But in the 3rd act, Monika shows that she doesn't just have control over the game, but she even has some influence in the real world. This is scary because your immersion has been broken. Because you know that Monika's not real, it makes it scary that she knows your name, knows whether you are recording. This is our first type of meta-narrative, where the meta makes the game. Games which use the fact that they are stories as a gimmick, to usually create unique gameplay experiences, changing the way you interact with games. Doki Doki does this by making you interact with the game through the files of your computer. The Stanley Parable and There Is No Game do this by having a narrator that reacts to your choices in real time. In Stanley, whether you listen to the narrator is what decides if you're going to play Minecraft, Rocket League, or get laughed at for being lonely.
Gotcha!
While the narrator in There Is No Game actively opposes you and your choices, trying to hold you back from exploring the game. I'm Scared is a game that uses the fact that it is a program to its advantage, as an essential part of the gameplay is closing and restarting the game at certain points. Alongside this, the game has you looking at the files within your computer for instruction. These games build off the subversion of expectation, defining what a game should be like, though they often lack a bit in the narrative department, as breaking the fourth wall as bluntly as they do make it much harder for you to care about their world and its characters. This isn't the case for the second category I want to talk about, which uses meta to enhance the story, adding on to its emotional or thematic impact. One such example is Undertale. Undertale is a 2015 Earthbound-inspired RPG made by Toby Fox, and if you have been on the internet in that time, you probably have heard all about it. Still a spoiler warning though. It's a game that is centered around one big choice, whether you kill or you spare the monsters you encounter. The game asks you to make this choice many times, not just from a mechanical perspective, but from a narrative point of view too, because this is what shapes Undertale's story, as either choice will lead to different outcomes and endings. Its meta-narrative comes in how it tells that story, as its world follows game-like rules. In battles, characters have to literally wait their turn, you level up by killing people, you as the main character can save and load, and there is actual fight and spare buttons within battle. These are all things that are directly acknowledged by the game, and that fact is used in two major ways. One of which is to enhance the emotional impact of its story, which we'll come back to in a second, and the other one is to open up the possibilities for its ludo-narrative to shine. A ludo-narrative is a fancy term for storytelling through game mechanics, and by including game mechanics into its world, Undertale allows its characters to directly interact with how you play the game while upholding the fourth wall and your immersion. One of the most iconic examples of this comes at the end of a pacifist playthrough, where you've gone and spared every single monster, made friends with everyone along the way, and all is great in life. But then you reach Asgore, the final boss who has been talked about throughout your journey, and he starts the battle by doing this. Through the lens of a normal narrative, Asgore might have just told you there was no other way but to fight, or maybe had just ignored any attempts to convince him. But by making this menu diegetic to the world, it allows him to literally take away the option to spare. There are a million examples just like this one, but more than just its storytelling, Undertale weaves its mechanics into its story, with the character Flowey. Flowey is set up to be the big villain of Undertale early on, revealing from the start that he is aware of you saving and resetting the world. Throughout a neutral or pacifist playthrough, Flowey is the ultimate villain, as he shows up as a literal god in both the endings, taking your ability to save and load and using it against you. These endings reveal most of his character, but his full character doesn't get explored until the genocide route of the game. Because after you have most likely played the game once or twice before, after you have gotten attached to these characters, given them all the best ending, you might then decide to reset, and this time, kill everyone. And not just every monster you encounter, but everyone. If you do decide to do that, at the end of the route, you'll once again meet Flowey. And it's here that Flowey reveals that he, before you arrived, had the power to reset. And he too used it to exhaust all the possibilities of this world. He has been friends with everyone, laughed, cried, and killed everyone. And eventually, they all just turn to sets of numbers, lines of dialogue, just new things to try out. Similarly to what you probably went through. Flowey becomes a foil to you as a player, not just of Undertale, but as a completionist of games in general. He mimics the decline of emotional attachment, where as you play to see all of a game, that's all it becomes. The characters in its world fade into being just a game, just entertainment, another piece of content to consume. Undertale makes you think about how you interact with games, as it holds up a mirror for you as the player. Spec Ops The Line takes this a step further, making you question why you play the games that you do at all. Spec Ops released in 2012, and starts out as a generic military shooter. The prologue sees you heroically gun down tens, if not hundreds of enemies from a helicopter in the sand-ridden skyline of Dubai. No context necessary as you eventually get hit and start spinning down, before the game cuts away. The first few chapters of the game keep up this formula of a regular action-packed cover shooter as you mindlessly murder the enemies on your screen. But as you get further and further into the game tries to make you more conscious about your actions. enemies become other US soldiers so that we can now hear their screams in a familiar language. Our main cast of characters starts becoming more and more abrasive as they kill. They transition from professional target down callouts into shouting "Got the fucker" after they fatally wound someone, and most infamously, the game makes you commit war crimes by using white phosphorus on civilians. These scenes serve to make you reflect on your actions, and after you walk through the corpses of your own fault, the game starts talking to you directly, as the loading screen tips start breaking the fourth wall. And it's here we can see something really cool, because both Spec Ops and Undertale allow you to murder everyone and everything. Spec Ops forces you to do so, but while doing so, their meta-narratives allow them to hold up a mirror and ask you if this is really what you want. Spec Ops does it in a way that breaks your immersion, as the loading screens of the game, the small moments between story and gameplay, ask you as the player questions. Questions like, do you feel like a hero yet? Or, the US military does not condone the killing of unarmed combatants. But this isn't real, so why should you care? Or even, to kill for yourself is murder, to kill for your government is heroic, to kill for entertainment is harmless. These loading screens break your immersion, but make you carry the responsibility of your actions with you. You are choosing to play this game, and you will now have to live with that fact. Undertale does almost the exact opposite of this, in a meta sense, where instead of breaking your immersion to make you reflect on your actions, the addition of Flowey allows this reflection to occur within the game. You are not special as the player of this game, there is a character who went through the same entire arc as you, including the very fact that you can distance yourself. In universe, Flowey losing attachment to the people in the game is the same as you taking a break after a pacifist run, stepping away from the computer for a bit, before you start killing everything. As Andrew Cunningham explained it in his video, which you should really go and watch, Undertale makes cutting off your immersion part of the game with Flowey, essentially keeping you immersed whether you want to or not. These two games use their meta to make you think about the actions you're committing, making them matter outside of their respective realities. Their meta narratives are built upon their stories. But for the last category I want to talk about, the meta-narrative is built upon the idea of what is real. Oneshot is a 2014 puzzle adventure game about interacting with fiction. Sort of. Spoiler warning for Oneshot, it's impossible to talk about its storytelling without talking about every part of its story, so go play it if you haven't yet. The first scene of the game sees our protagonist Nico waking up in a room. In this room, we can find a computer, which if we interact with, talks to you as the player directly. The entity on this PC tells you that this world is beyond saving, and that our mission is to get Nico back home. And it ends the statement by giving you a pop-up on your desktop. Already in this very first scene, Oneshot does something fascinating, which is making you a character in the game. You don't have to immerse yourself into someone, rather you play as yourself. This first scene seems to instantly break your immersion, as acknowledging you as the player of a game simultaneously makes the world seem fake, as it sets itself up as a program on your computer. But then we get to know the protagonist of this game, Nico. And Nico is not like the rest of the game. They are not from this world. They were transported here, taken from their own world, where they were just with their mama. This separation allows Nico to be a character of their own, while not being affected by the world's fictionality, letting us grow attachment to them. Now, the world being not real is a very intentional choice, which we see in the first area of the game, a barren wasteland only occupied by robots and abandoned factories. This contrast sets Nico apart from the world, its artificiality making Nico stand out as real, and they become the anchor of your investment in the game. As we progress though, the world of the game starts looking a lot more alive, with actual characters and eventually even other human beings. But before you are able to really explore and get involved with the world, you reach the ending of the game, where after another entity guides you through your game files, helping you get to the tower, you have to make a choice. You have to choose whether you're going to save the world or send Nico back home. And this is why the game went through those loops to hold off your immersion to this world. If it had felt real throughout, this choice would be much easier. Most people would choose an entire world over a single character. But by gradually letting you immerse yourself into the world, the game allows you to build much more attachment to Nico. And it does this because the game wants this choice to be as difficult as possible. It wants this choice to be agony. So maybe, after you do make the choice, you will look through the game files again and see that you can delete your save file. If you then launch the game again, it will have reset, Nico once again waking up in the starting room. But quickly differences start showing. Because as you play the game, the journal you got from the second entity, the author, lets you reach places you couldn't before, where we get a more in-depth explanation on how this world works. The first entity that talks to us throughout the game is called the World Machine, and is the code behind this entire world, this entire story. But for it to run, it needs the consciousness of someone real, like Nico, and someone to run the actual simulation, you. This explanation makes Nico realize that this world is fake, as they are suddenly burned with the knowledge that this whole journey is to save something that doesn't really exist. This further cements Nico as a mirror to you as a player, as they too now have to pretend this is their first time around, keeping up the facade of this world to the other characters. While the corruption of the game is only accelerated, entire areas now closed off by the squares. We meet Cedric, another character aware of this world being a simulation, who explains that this world was, at some point in time, real. He, his father, the author, and two others in this world are not part of this simulation, and were once alive and real in the old world. The old world was set to be destroyed many years ago, and Cedric's father set out to create a replica, built on the memories of everyone he knew. And that is what we are playing right now. If we look at this from the perspective of the circles, this is what happens. A fictitious world within a fictitious world that needs a character from another fictitious world to even exist. I hope you guys are still with me here. Nico and you continue into the city, where we meet Rue, the final character who was also from the old world. And Rue tells us about this concept where robots can be tamed, a process where you fully embrace them as living, genuine people until they are eventually able to return your feelings. Alongside this, the World Machine is revealed not just to be the spirit of the game, but a conscious being, coded with an artificial intelligence that makes it able to think and process its actions. This leads into the final scene of the game, where you and Nico tame the World Machine. Nico tells it that they truly want to save this world. Even if it's simulated, it's real to them, and however much the World Machine tries to convince you it's fake, you are probably in a similar mindset to Nico. Because at this point, you dug through the game files, you played through the entire game again, went through all this effort to get a better ending. And why else would you have done that if the game didn't make an impact? Whether the game made you laugh or cry or befuddled you with its puzzles, it imprinted some part of itself in your mind. And if that's the case, if a game could change how you feel, change how you think, how could it ever be fake? Is the impact it left on you not enough proof of its existence? And this is what I think Oneshot means with the taming of its robots. I see it as a metaphor for interacting with fiction. When you care about a story, when you truly immerse yourself into it, think of it as real, you give it life by allowing it to make an impact. Oneshot wants you to care about it. Even with the World Machine telling you it's fake, the author, literally representing the creator, asks you to suspend your disbelief as it invites you deeper into the game, invites you to see all of it. Because if you can immerse yourself into one layer of fiction, why not two? These themes are seen in all of Oneshot, from taming robots to its environment to the very addition of Nico as a character. Oneshot is a game about interacting with fiction. Or at least, that's my interpretation. By all means, don't just take my words as the truth. I would love to hear any alternate interpretations in the comments. With that said, I hope I could convince you that meta-narratives can serve as so much more than just a gimmick. In this video, I looked at how it can impact the actual story being told. But it can also be used for horror or for comedy. It can be used to create gameplay possibilities or to parody and give commentary on other games and fiction. It can be used to break your immersion or even deepen it. And there's about 1 billion games that I haven't even talked about. Games like Pony Island, The Existence of You and Me, The Beginner's Guide, fucking Deltarune was announced while I was writing this, and that has one of the most insane meta setups I have ever seen. I love meta narratives with all my heart, and I hope I was able to, at least a tiny bit, get you more excited about them as well. I have been Shilsey, and thank you so much for watching.